Is president of the Heritage Foundation, Kevin Roberts. Kevin, great to be with you this morning. So you wouldn't know it if you turned on CNN or MSNBC today. They're only focused on the price of eggs or activity in the stock market. But what have you made of President Trump's first 50 days?
Well, I had very high expectations about how bright the sun would be shining when it was morning in America again. But even I and my colleagues at Heritage did not anticipate the pace and scope of this reform. I think President Trump and all of his administration officials are doing the work of the American people. They're moving quickly for this reason. They're trying to undo 75 years of federal government overreach, which has displaced the freedom and self-governance of the everyday American. They really are the administration for the forgotten American. God bless them for their courage. If you think about all the protests and ridiculous sort of rhetorical assaults on them, economic assaults on them, they need to stay the course, keep doing what they're doing, because I can tell you, as someone who aims to spend more time outside the imperial city of Washington than inside it, the American people love what they see.
And we're seeing quite the difference in the first 50 days between Joe Biden's America and Donald Trump's America. So I know the Heritage Foundation released a report last week that exposed the Biden administration for allegedly using an auto pen signature to sign executive orders, meaning your foundation actually found proof that every order Joe Biden signed all had the same signature except for the announcement that he would not be running for re-election. Can you tell me more about that?
Well, I wish I could tell you that we were surprised by this, but a couple of weeks ago when my colleagues at the Oversight Project revealed that there were some signatures that looked very similar and that it was, in fact, a series of signatures done by this auto pen, we thought it might be 10 or 25% of these signatures, but it ended up being a huge number of them. And what it does is bring into question whether the president actually was incapacitated. I can tell you, just from the standpoint of a human looking at the president, no politics here, that I was very worried about his mental and physical ability. I don't mean that to be untoward or ugly, but when you're the president of the United States and the leader of the free world, it's very obvious that when you don't know where to turn after a press conference, that you're probably suffering from bad health. Clearly, he was not running the country. This is the bottom line. As a result of that, which was obvious to all of us, as a result of these auto pen signatures, which we've unearthed, it's pretty clear that some of these might not actually be legally binding. And it's ridiculous, it's tragic, it's unjust. But I have to say I take a little bit of joy in that those last-minute pardons that he gave, and people like Liz Cheney and Adam Kinzinger and General Milley, wouldn't it be great if those pardons actually aren't legally binding? I think that'd be very appropriate.
And we know that Speaker Johnson raised his concerns about all this back in January. Take a listen to this.
Sir, why did you pause LNG exports to Europe? Like, I don't understand, liquefied natural gas is in great demand by our allies. Why would you do that? He looks at me stunned with this, and he said, I didn't do that. And I said, Mr. President, yes, you did. It was an executive order. And he goes, oh, you talk about natural gas. Yes, sir. He said, no, you misunderstand. He said, what I did is I signed this thing we're gonna conduct a study on the effects of LNG. It occurred to me, Barry, he was not lying to me. He genuinely did not know what he had signed. And I walked out of that meeting with fear and loathing because I thought, we're in serious trouble. Who is running the country?
That is so concerning. How many of the decisions that he signed off on do you expect that President Biden was actually aware and knowing what he was doing?
No, I don't. In fact, I remember talking to Speaker Johnson days after that meeting. He was, of course, kept the confidence of that meeting as he should. But he said, Kevin, all I can tell you is pray for President Biden and pray for this country. But keep in mind, in addition to that particular important policy about LNG, this is also the time that President Biden was telling us, for example, we needed to spend $260 billion of the American people's tax money on the Ukraine conflict, which has still no strategic end in sight. God bless Donald Trump to come full circle in this conversation about bringing a potential end to it. But those are decisions that literally cost people's lives. We're not being melodramatic when we say that about this. This is not some technological problem with an auto pen signature. This is about the 25th Amendment probably needing to have been invoked. Unfortunately, that would have led to Vice President Harris, the most incompetent vice president in our history, becoming president. But this is what we mean as conservatives when we talk about the rule of law. It's very important that the transparency that Donald Trump and Elon Musk are bringing back into the executive branch actually continues apace.
Kevin Roberts, great.